We all know and love the Thieves Guild in Skyrim. You steal, you sneak, and it's short and unique. And by unique, I mean it's one of the main guilds in the Elder Scrolls V. Speaking of the Elder Scrolls V, the Dragonborn is one of many abilities, the language of dragons, dragon blood, and the chance to see a live dragon up close. However, the Dragonborn is no immortal and is in fact highly immortal. This is all about to change today, however, when I attempt to beat the whole of the Thieves Guild without dying once. The rules are simple enough. Should I die in game, I need to restart all the way from finally being awake on the carriage. I'm not allowed to use any carriages outside of the holds to fast travel, meaning I can only fast travel to locations I have visited. No loading saves unless I'm using the continue button on the title screen. Other than that, it's pretty much fair game, so long as I never die. Except, stealth archery is not encouraged, because I thought it would make things way too easy. I rode the carriage into Helgen, and chose an orc for their ability Berserker Rage, halving damage taken and doubling damage inflicted upon enemies. This is just generally a very good ability to have in case of emergency, and what else am I gonna realistically pick with Stealth Archer out of the mix? I called my character No Death Guy, which is certainly not the greatest joke I've ever made, but certainly not the worst. And a word of warning, do not get too attached to No Death Guy. Sprinting through the dragon attack and joining Hadvar, I got my hands unbound and chose the greatsword in the next room, because the gods gave me 2 hands and I want the respect of the Skyrim gods. Potion room, torture room, we've all done this 100 times. I did kill the torturer, considering that the hood was a better armor piece than my current nothing helmet, and I definitely didn't just kill him and find out it was a good hood afterwards. I got a sneak peek at Spider-Verse 3, which was cool, and escaped into Skyrim. I decided not to choose survival mode, thinking it would be too hard, but who knows, maybe someday. Nothing much happened on the way into Riverwood other than a scripted wolf attack. I also picked the Warrior Stone to level my combat skills faster. Arriving at Riverwood, I met Hadvar's uncle, and this man was a problem. Don't get me wrong, I love Alvor, but he has no respect for the tidiness of his own home. He sits down at the table and launches the plate someone was likely using across the table. Alright, probably a mistake. I'll just put it back, but nope. Throws it away again. I somehow actually managed to flip it back using the combinations of tables, items, and Alvor's head. He expected the plate this time, and I did consider killing his wife to send a message, but I decided not to. No reloading saves means that I can get a bounty. It's either pay it off or lose your stolen items, go to jail and also lose your stolen items, or keep the bounty forever. Eventually, you do get to bribe the guards as a member of the Thieves Guild, but crimes are still very dangerous. I took anything useful Alvor and family would give me and sold it across the street for some easy septums. Skipping over some blacksmithing I did, I recruited Sven as a follower after simply admitting Feindal's lies, and went off to Whiterun. I'm not sure why I decided to go for the main quest, because I never even went to Bleak Falls, but here we are at Farengar. I decided to walk to Riften, and travelled by foot around to Helgen, and then to a Stormcloak camp. I always remember because it's pretty much a free horse. With my newfound horse, I was making fast progress around the mountain until this happened.
I'm surprised the horse hasn't gone.
Cliff.
Yeah, the horse is gone. Oh my god. No, please.
Oh, nah, you're safe. You're good.
No, I'm so dead.
You're good.
Attempt 2, I did most of the same thing. Sat through the intro cutscene, made No Death Jeff, chose the Warrior Stone, did the blacksmithing thing with Alvor, recruited Feindal this time for his archery ability. I decided this time just to book it straight for Riften to start the quest without any messing around, and like 10 minutes in, I found a big drug empire and decided it would be a great idea to single-handedly take it down with Feindal. So, what I originally thought was drug empire turned out to involve slave labor, and after freeing all the slaves from life, I found out it was actually a vampire empire, which is cool and all, but I knew I had met my match when I came across a masked vampire and some death hounds. I tried to do my famous patented 1 health escape, trapping Feindal behind a solid metal door, but one of the hounds was on my tail, and this happened. Now, I know I haven't even started the quest yet, and we're on the 3rd attempt, but I'm gonna let you in a little secret. The next run gets really far. The next run being No Death Jeff. Bam carriage, bam orc, bam Helgen done. I decided to get the Warrior Stone and bolt it straight to Riften, no follower or anything. I had a few random encounters on the way, which are always pretty cool, and after a long journey, I finally made it, to Riften. I nearly died on the way. But enough dying, enough losing, it was time to get started with the real fun, and so I did. Welcome to Riften. Avoid the guy that left at the door unless we're gonna die of boredom, and we bring you off in the town square. He wants us to frame some guy, and we say no can do and drop it in the lake. He's like, oh, okay, I'll let you in anyway. Into what? Thieves Guild. Did any of that make any sense at all? No. Anyway, make your way through the sewers and you will find a little bar. And here's Brynjolf. He tells us to collect some debts. I'm just gonna speed through this real quick and wow, useless stuff. Brynjolf introduces us to this guy and oh wow, this is a cool guy. I really hope he doesn't betray us later because that would be Devo. But anyway, we need to go to a bee company that turned their back on the guild. In, get the safe, burn through hives, no killing, get out. Easy as that. So I went in, killed no one, got the safe, burnt the hives, and got out. And guess how much I got paid? 50 gold. That's literally nothing. But it's not about the money, it's about the fame. And the fame we had. You know what else we had though? Crashes. Skyrim is after all Skyrim. What do you expect? Now the crash may have caused me to lose an hour's worth of footage, but it was mostly walking around to the next mission in solitude. However, on the way I got something highly valuable, that being some full orcish armor. You're probably wondering how I made this at level 7 or something. And the answer is, I didn't. I stole it. Down in the deep south below Riften, there is an orcish fort called Lagashbur. I found this online by the way. And in Lagashbur, there is this full set of orcish armor ready for the Steely. But it only opens at level 9. However, if you look very closer, even closer, you'll notice that we are playing Skyrim, and Skyrim is a very broken game, so I just jumped the fence and stole the armor from a grave. Grave robbing may be immoral, but I feel like the orc that died would have wanted someone trying not to die to have it, you know? I also left a garnet there as a trade offer so his spirit doesn't come and kill me in my sleep. I also framed a whole meadery for poisoning some guy, but that's gone too. But anyway, back to Solitude with this new godly armor. I found a kid that I might adopt should I ever get a house and a future no-death run. I talked to the Argonian, I believe his name was Lizard Man, and he wanted me to steal some firebrand wine. I'm back with the wine, I said to Lizard Man, and he did not give me the answer I was looking for in return. So I tailed him, which is pretty hard considering he can just remove it and regrow a new one. I tried blending in and goddamn it worked. He arrived at the dock, and just like my thief brethren, I didn't kill anyone. But as I was sneaking past everyone, there was a dog. And I didn't want to kill the dog, who do you think I am? I just let him follow me for a while, and then I killed the dog. I didn't know who to blame, what to do. It wasn't my fault, was it? It was the damn lizards. I bet he set up the whole thing so I'd stop tailing him. So I hunted him down, got the answers, but I can't just kill him. It's not what the dog would have wanted. Anyway, back at the Thieves Guild. My favorite guy Mercer told me to go somewhere and get something for him from a temple. I pondered my mortality on the way.
Why do I feel like I'm gonna die in this temple? I get that feeling.
And eventually got there. I remember what he told me now. There was this lady that we thought might have been behind the bee place turning against us, and as well as the meadery that I lost the footage for before, and we were going to stop her. I was at the final chamber, I was prepared to enter, and then, well boys, I guess it ends here. You cannot beat the Skyrim Thieves Guild without dying. Add to the list, yeah no I'm kidding, you probably already knew that. There's a scripted arrow shot and stab here, but you survive it, no challenge failed. Turns out Kalaya is not a liar, but in fact a truther, because she was framed for her master's murder and actually shot me to save my life. That means Mercer is the bad guy? We had to tell Thieves Guild about this new news, but first it's time for a Dwemer dungeon. I can barely contain my excitement, but let me explain it to you all. Basically, Kalaya's master had this journal, and that would hopefully prove her innocence and Mercer's guilt, but it was encoded, and the only way to get the language it was in was to go to the worst hold in all of Skyrim, Markarth. To prove how lame this place is, the very first thing I have to do is kill someone who's about to assassinate some woman. Also, the whole place is just so boring, and speaking of boring, it's time for the Dwemer dungeon. After expertly sneaking past some guards, they saw me and I got a bounty. But I decided just to sprint for the end of the dungeon because I knew I wasn't able to pay off any bounty they placed on me. Plus, I'd rather you not die of boredom just like I nearly had to going through this dungeon. I was scared I would die to a trap during this dungeon, but surprisingly nothing one-shot me and I was able to just continue to the next quest. We confronted the guild with the translated journal and they believed us after seeing that Mercer had stolen all the treasure in their bank. Now there's only one thing left to do. Break into Mercer's house and maybe see where he was going to be next. This was actually the first time I had used a bow, and it was just to shoot the first shot directly into this wall to manipulate the RNG of the enemy, then to trigger the bridge. Mercer's house is pretty standard, except that I very nearly died into a trap, and I got a new sword that I likely won't use, that being Chillrend, which is like a frost blade. I brought this info to Brynjolf, and we decided to head out and become Nightingales, which are basically super thieves that serve a goddess. So we got the show on the road and arrived at the temple where I got some new armor that I couldn't wear because I ran out of inventory space. I wore the Thieves Guild armor and I really can't tell if this combo looks good or not. So Kalaya and Brynjolf talked while I parkoured and eventually it became Nightingales. There was just one thing left to do: get revenge on Mercer Frey. I journeyed into the dungeon with a fiery rage as I had trusted Mercer more than anyone else, having known him for 2 days. We were on first name terms, me calling him Mercer and him calling me No. But at least now we had a new goal: killing Mercer Frey. I was told that no one bests an orc, so I decided to prove him right. I entered the dungeon, and it was a Falmer infested dungeon, which you can likely assume I just love. But as I entered, what was this? Dead bandits? Had Kalaya done this? I knew I never should have trusted her. When I met up with her, it turns out to have been Mercer. Thank God. I can never imagine why someone would kill bandits completely for no reason. We saw Mercer do a little sneaky and we had to fight some Falmer who are always difficult. What was even more difficult was finding this one guy on my map. I could not do it for the life of me, and then he just fell from the sky and died. I was very scared for the Mercer fight, I'm not even gonna lie. I remember having big trouble with it on my previous playthrough, so I decided to prepare and drank like 10 different potions and got ready for the fight of my life. He was one hit. I had the high ground. This was going to be easier than I thought. And then with that, I had done it. I had gotten my revenge. Kalaya and Brynjolf were freed from whatever was happening with them, and the place started to flood. I thought it was one of the pipes that I had to escape through, and started drowning when I couldn't figure out which one it was. But it turns out it's just this massive cave that's right above the statue, and so we got out in the end. Kalaya had one mission left for me: to return a magical lockpick that Mercer had stolen. I'm not going to bore you with this dungeon because it's not very interesting until I stood over a big pit. The fool would surely kill me, but I didn't come in this far with one life, just died of full damage like no death guy had. I searched for another way around, but there was nothing. And then I searched for a tutorial. I wanted to be sure I wouldn't lose it all. They said jump, and so I did. What was that? I took full damage and I'm stuck in this pit with a skeleton and a note saying he was hungry? I really thought I had soft-locked for a split second, but I thought about it. What do I have that could finish this puzzle? And then it dawned on me. The Nightingale armor. I donned it, and just like that, the floor beneath me crumbled and I was in the final chamber. I returned the skeleton key, talked to the Nocturnal, and successfully beat the Thieves Guild without dying. It's not over just yet though, for I really feel like continuing the save on. I've also talked about doing it with multiplayer too, and I feel like it could be really interesting and funny. Thank you all for sticking around to the end, and I'll bid you adieu.